Hello and welcome back to the games room. Make yourself comfortable. Now, I used to do these videos looking at my all-time favourite multi-format publication, Edge magazine, and they used to be notoriously long, so I'll promise I'll try to be as quick as I can, yeah? So, why this one? We're going to go back about 12 years. I was sitting down in the games room the other night, didn't have anything on the systems, and I was looking through some old magazines, and the front cover and the leader article grabbed my attention simply because I'm playing Wipeout Pure at the moment on the PSP. So let's look at what issue this is. Issue 148. This came out April 2005. So yeah, it's about 12 years old. But as you can see, the main leader is Wipeout Pure. There's news of the up and coming Xbox 2, which we all know would be the wonderful 360. And that's about it. There's not a lot going on in this one. It's really heavy on interviews, and also a heavy emphasis on Japan. So let's have a quick look through. Yeah, let's try and get it. I'll try and get it all in shot if I can. I think that'll do. Yeah, that should do us. Again, the quality of the magazine, like all Edge magazines, is absolutely stunning. The paper, the printing, everything else. Being an older gamer, even old back then, I just appreciated the kind of adult nature and just the kind of grown-up feel about Edge and the way it was written. And it did so much to make gaming culture respectable. It did. There you go. Shadowheart Covenant. I'm going to be saying this next phrase. I've never heard of that. You're going to hear that a lot in this video, and that's because there's so many games I've never heard of. I just simply didn't get around to playing them. So we'll just quickly go through our contents and beginning. So you've got some details on the Xbox 2. Gets really confusing, doesn't it? You think about that being called the Xbox 2. I'd love to know what the next Xbox would be called. Would it be 2? Could be. Who knows? Interestingly, down here, if you look at the specs, which you probably can't see, it says that its limit is 720 resolution-wise, but it was possible for it to do 1080. Quite a few developers managed that. Put the time and effort into it. Here we have one of the amusement arcade type shows in Japan, and I would love to see this Mario Kart arcade cabinet. I've never seen one. Now we live down on the coast. We've got quite a few arcades, and no, I've never seen it. I'd love to have a go at it, and I know that these are in the UK. Because I've seen other YouTube channels where they've been filming themselves playing Mario Kart GP. What I'm probably going to do is next week, I've got some spare time, I'm going to go back downtown and I'm going to do all the arcades again. And you know, you never know, that may pop up one day, I suppose. I would love that though, I really would. Mario Kart is my favourite franchise. Again, more on the amusement show. I don't know if it's really relevant now, these kind of shows, because all it's going to be is grab machines, gambling machines, and kind of 5-minute novelty games. If you go into an arcade now, it's more about the bizarre nature of the cabinet than the actual game. It really is. Yeah, again, more stuff on that. Unreal Championship 2. That was quite a good version. This article really and truly is looking at the risks involved in being like really too original. Software developers being too original. If you do decide to stray from the norm, then you risk losing a lot of money. Actually, what was there? Oh no, I thought it was something else. Yeah, there's enough said about the iToy, I think. Why Sony and Microsoft were so obsessed with motion control and everything else. I don't know why they became so obsessed with trying to catch up with Nintendo. I mean, it was just a passing fad. The Art of Wire Work, if it's got anything to do with those stupid martial art films with wire work, I don't want to know about it. I can't stand them. Something for every gamer, another article that talks about the need to cater for all gamers. It's a subject that's rearing its head again at the moment. Why? You know, if a game is too hard, it's too hard. Don't know a great deal on that. Resident Evil 4. What a fantastic game. Played it twice, finished it twice. Recently got it back in the collection because I don't know where my original went. So I've got the PlayStation 2, the tin box version. Although I love it, it was the game that was responsible, wasn't it, for taking the franchise in a different direction, rightly or wrongly. This is interesting down here, Blockland. I'll show you. That reminds you of anything? It's funny how history can turn out. It really is. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. There's hardly anyone out there that's got a real original idea. Don't know a great deal about this stuff. This is it, Japanese. They used to have an article. They'd have a staff writer in Japan. And let me kind of set my stall out about Japanese culture. I just don't get the obsession with some people, and it seems to go with the territory, you know, with gaming and sci-fi and everything else, that it's just a bit of an obsession. And there's lots of aspects about Japanese culture that I would question, and I don't understand some people's mentality really on some really quite awkward subjects and issues. No, never heard of that. I told you I'd say that quite a lot. Cold Winter. I like the look of that. Did it ever come out? Was it called that? Did it have a name change? PlayStation 2. World of Warcraft. I've got a friend of mine that's he's a real kind of, you know, he's a real addict, and it's so funny because occasionally he'll go cold turkey and he'll walk away from it, and then he says to me so guiltily, you know, oh, I've gone back on the crack. And it's like, it's so funny, it really is. And I think to myself, oh well, we've lost him for another 6 months, but he'll be back. There's that arcade. I must read that later. There's that arcade, Mario Kart arcade. There's got to be one down here. There's got to be. Lego Star Wars. No idea about that one, but I'm not a great beat 'em up fan. Haunting Ground. I do like the look of that. What else have we got? Midnight Club Dub Edition, not my kind of racer. I really like my arcade racing games in really small doses, because I prefer the serious stuff, the simulations really. Oh, Fahrenheit. if you get a chance to play that and you like cinematics and a real heavy story, that is an amazing game. I played that on the Xbox about 2 years ago. About 2 years ago I completed it. Wonderful experience. Some really weird ideas. The camera work, they use a lot of split cameras, like they did in sort of 1970s films. That needs an HD update of some kind, or a complete reboot. Want to get yourself a phone? Yeah? Fed up of your smartphone? These batteries on these will last days, I suppose. You've got a 1.3 megapixel camera. You want to rock out with that? And no, none of this seems relevant to me. Full Spectrum Warrior. Looking forward to playing that. I've got it on the shelf on the PS2. I seem to have been trying to get around to playing it for ages. I believe it's like a squad-based shooter, tactical, my kind of thing. I really do want to play that. I've heard good things about it. Sniper Elite. I never realised that Sniper Elite as a franchise was as old as that, really. Okay, this is another interview. Some developers. I think that's God of War. Considering how much I liked Dante's Inferno, I should really give God of War a chance. Another big in-depth article and interview regarding Godfather the game. I do have that. I think I've got it on PS2. Again, time permitting in this life, I might get around to playing all this stuff. When our kids were younger, I used to think you didn't have a lot of time then, but now everyone's kind of flown the nest. You still don't seem to. There's always something else, you know. It's weird. There's always something else vying for your time. Gran Turismo 4, I like this advert. I used to like this advert, like with an exclusive dealership. You could not drag me away from Gran Turismo. Again, another in-depth look at the developers regarding Wipeout. I think I've got to get one more Wipeout game on the PSP. I've got one more to pick up. There's quite a few interviews. There's quite a few interviews in this one. Brothers in Arms. No idea. Again, another quite in-depth article about Nintendo and how it ticks. You know, making all their crazy shit and wacky ideas and nothing changes there. But I think, honestly, I think Nintendo seem to be not so much resigned, but they seem to be pretty much okay with their position in the market. Some pretty weird stuff on there. Some nice original artwork there. Rainbow Six Lockdown. I was so into the original Rainbow Six on PC, and my PC back then was really, really fast, and I just got so involved in that game. Christ knows how many versions or how many outings there have been of Rainbow Six. This is looking at some of the original team and developers behind Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. Considering what an impact Tomb Raider had on me, it was really weird when you think about it. It's weird in a sense that it took years for me to bother to play any of the sequels. I think a similar thing happened with Metal Gear Solid. The first one was just mind-blowing, but then I just forgot about the franchise after that. So there's quite a lot of interviews in this particular issue. Okay, we're going to get to the reviews now, so we're going to get to the meaty stuff. Always like to see what they gave games. Devil May Cry, a franchise that didn't really interest me. In all honesty, it looked, I may be wrong, but it looked too much hack and slash for me. That's not really a kind of genre that I like. But that got an 8 out of 10. So that's fairly respectable. Star Fox Assault. Star Fox Assault can only manage a 6. Time Splitters, Future Perfect. So many people over the years have said, please play Time Splitters, go back and play it, you've got to play it. And one day I will. I've got the original, the first 2 games on the PS2, so one day I'll definitely play it. Cold Fear. Now this is the one, the Xbox game, that's based on a ship. It's like a whaling ship. I really want this. I've not done any research as to how much it is or anything else, but it's a survival horror. I love the atmosphere, the setting. I just know that I'd really like that, so I must get that. I must make that a priority, and I want it on the, what's it available for? Yeah, I'd get it on the Xbox rather than the PS2, because so many multi-platform games looked far superior on the Xbox. Splinter Cell, not something that really ever impressed me as a franchise. Stolen, never heard of it. Constantine, I've got that up on the shelf. I thought it looked relatively okay, but it only gets a 5. So, and I've not even seen the film. So, Brothers in Arms, we've just seen the advert for that. Star Wars Republic Commando. I'm a bit kind of, for years I've been kind of all Star Wars'd out. Do you know what I mean? It's like, leave me alone. So even now, the new interest, and obviously Disney now have the rights, and my son's into various aspects of it, but I just think I'm kind of fed up of it, really. You know, there's been so many bloody games, and just, Catch Touch Yoshi. Now, what is that all about, and why have I never heard of it? On the DS, I've never heard of that. What did it get? It got an 8. It's got an 8, so it's quite respectable. Fright Night Round 2. I'd like to get any version really on the Xbox 360. Don't ask me why, but I would just like to have a boxing title in the collection, really. Swords of Destiny. Never heard of it. Don't know what that is or that. They all look kind of pretty mediocre. Jade Empire. Time Extend. Time Extend. I used to like this idea. Every issue of Edge would have like a retrospective of a classic game, and I don't think, off the top of my head, I don't think they still do that, because I haven't bought a copy of Edge for a while now, but I really don't think they do that anymore. I mean, you can just imagine. I'm trying to work out how much this would be on the SNES, complete, boxed. But I used to like this at the back, you know, this kind of retrospective. Let's pay homage to a previous game. Trackmania. My must-buy racing game of the year, and yes, that means over Gran Turismo 4. Really? Really? A simulator up against something where you can do loop-the-loops? The Making of Tempest 2000. I had this on the Jaguar, and there were some good reboots, some good updates of old classics on the Jaguar. But when you look back, you think, but that, you know, it was never going to be enough, was it? It really wasn't. And I think I also really liked, I thought, well, they can't improve on this, and then they did on the PS1 version. I think the PS1, obviously the music was better, and it had some like really nice kind of oily transparency effects on the web, so they did improve on it. Looks like Microsoft teaming up with Fiat. Right, that's not. It seems a little bit mundane, really, in all honesty. Studio profiles. So now you're going to get into your adverts for your jobs. Don't worry, there's no 0-hour contracts here. We've also got some businesses advertising here. You know, thinking retro. So I mean, it's been around, the whole retro scene and the obsession with it. It's been around, hasn't it, for quite a long time. I think that's pretty much it. Just more interviews with developers. Really heavy on the interviews, this one. Spy versus Spy. Why have I never seen that? The original, I really like the original. But looking at those pictures, it looks like it's in 3D. So I imagine my concern is that they've completely ballsed it up as usual. They did that with so many things. The obsession, the absolute obsession of going to 3D, and that whole thing ruined Sonic for me as well. I'll keep a lookout for that. See what it's like. Get games on your mobile. It'll never catch on though. Again, more phones, more interviews, and that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. More adverts. There you go. So that was issue 148 from April 2005. And that front cover art is really nice because the actual Wipeout artwork is kind of, you can't really see it, but it's kind of embossed on top of the magazine. You'll never convince me, I know it's the future, apparently, you'll never convince me to buy a magazine on a tablet. I will never be convinced of that. There are certainly times in this life when you need a tangible product, item, and it's just nice. It's nice to kick back, have a lay down, you know, leaf through an old magazine. And as yet, I don't think I've purchased anything like a magazine, an electronic version. I'd rather not, in all honesty. And the same goes for books. I still, with an academic background, quite bookish, I'll still rather have the book over anything else. So there you go. Thank you for watching. 25 minutes, I believe. So I don't think we did that bad. Again, we're going to try and document every single game in the collection and also every item. It's a crazy aspiration, but we'll get there, hopefully. You guys take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.